Appreciate everybody coming in here and hanging out with us. I wanted to do a special panel. I know it has my name up there, but we wanted to talk a little bit about digital versus physical. And I know you guys have probably heard that argument many times. But I thought it would be really cool, since my family plays a big role in my content, whether you guys know that or not only for support, but they also help do the production. You guys have seen my booth over there, Steve from the Tech Buzz Gaming, and my kids. This is my daughter Samantha, and this is her boyfriend Landon, avid gamers. And then we have my wife Erin and my littlest daughters Sophia, and then my son Daniel, who wants to be a YouTuber full time. That's the job he wants to do, and I keep telling him you don't want that job. So, they do a lot with us. They do a lot of the production behind the scenes. And as a guy, if you've watched my YouTube videos, you know that I am a big physical collector, as probably most of you guys are, because you're probably from my generation, so you collect for that. But I wanted to kind of have a discussion here with these guys, because to get different points of view from different generations. So, Daniel, I think you're probably the only kid probably in your grade, right, that collects, that understands physical media, right? Yeah. So you collect some of this stuff. You've been collecting NES. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit what you're collecting the full set of right now, what you're working through?
So I am working on collecting the Game Boy Advance collection. It is going pretty good.
So you did get a couple hard hitters, but what I want to ask you with that, why not just do digital? Why not just what really prompted you to want to collect the physical?
I saw you doing it, so I saw how much fun you were having, looking for games, just going on the hunt. So I figured I might as well try it. And try it. Oh.
We interviewed a bunch of little kids out there. They sat down at the panel, and we asked them, we said, hey, what's your favorite game? They said Roblox. One kid said Paper Mario, and I wanted to shake his hand. My wife now, you're more of a casual gamer. You don't really care if you have a physical or a digital game.
Well, growing up, I did a lot of physical. My dad had the Atari. Is that me? That's hot.
Nope, let's keep going.
Okay. My dad had an Atari, so we played all the the football games, racing games, and all that fun stuff. And then growing up, I had the Sega Genesis and the Nintendo 64. So I had those cartridges and those games, and those were cool. It was mainly my brother's games, but I still would play with them, and that was fun. But then I started to get into digital, and I'm like, hey, I can't lose this cartridge. All right, I like this. And, so it's kind of both. I think it's fun, going with you and collecting the games, but I also like the aspect of just how easy it is to store all of the digital stuff.
So do you still have the same feeling when I showed you I need that Flintstones cartridge that's $1,500 at Cartridges Galore out there?
We'll talk about that later.
You two, let's start with you, Landon. You're a PC gamer. Okay. You're all digital.
Mostly.
Why?
For me, I like going back and forth with my games. So I go from one game to another. So I can't really stay on one game and then I have to go look for another game just to go play that. So I play Fortnite and I want to go to Overwatch, or I want to go to Roblox or something like that. If there was a physical cartridge, and I myself, I'm not very clean guy. I'm not sorted. I have to go look for it. I have to open this to get this. It takes forever. So I'd rather.
Does it bother you that the possibilities there that you may not have that game one day?
I've thought about it several times. For Fortnite, I play that a lot. If I were to lose that, then I don't know what I'd do. When I was younger, I had a 3DS, and I played a game called Pokemon X hours every day. And then one day I lost it, and I was in tears. I was so sad. That's my favorite game in the world, and I just couldn't find it anymore.
So that's interesting. So if you had a digital copy, you won't lose it.
Exactly.
So your generation kind of looks at it as you won't lose it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Do you want to talk to? You want to tell them? So, Samantha, what about you? You've got a Switch, you got a PS5, but you predominantly play a lot of games on your laptop, your gaming laptop. You can talk into the mic. It's okay. They can't hear.
I could put something down, for 2 seconds later, I have no idea where it's at. So digital is a lot easier for me for the same reason. I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
Because I lose things very often, very easily. So it's just easier for me with digital. You can just play whatever you'd like at any time without having to go up and grab a game, put it back in. Laziness.
Laziness. I think that's the key here. Laziness. All right. So what I want to do here is I want to make this more interactive, right? One of the big things that I do with my shows is I'm a very interactive person. So I'm going to hand my daughter off to my. So now what I want to do with the folks that are out there, I want to come out here and I want to get your opinion. What is your opinion, physical or digital? I know Scott's here. Let's say hi to Scott.
Hey, how's it going?
Physical or digital?
Oh, physical all the way.
Why?
Even though I can get something cheap digitally occasionally, and I can leave one of my sealed games sealed, I would prefer to have things physical because, well, what if the internet goes out? What if I can't download it? What if they decide to take it off the digital stores and it's just one of those things that I can't re-download? I mean, I have seen that kind of thing happen where things just disappear, and it's just like, well, I'm sorry that you bought it, but we're removing it, and it's, we got your money. But if I've already paid for it on disc or on cartridge, it's mine.
Good point. Good sir. What's your name?
Jordan.
Hey, Jordan. Digital or physical?
It's been a bit of a journey. If you spoken to me 15 years ago, I've said all physical all the way. Now I think I'm of the 3,000 to 4,000 video games I play my own. I'm kind of split 50-50 right now.
And what's the reason?
Well, I guess I should start by saying I'm a Sony pony. That's my T-shirt that might inform you.
Wait, let's stop with that. You just said to me the other day, he says, Sony pony, what is it? I never heard of that. And because I called somebody that as well, right?
It's the, I understand, playfully self-deprecating term for PlayStation fans. I mean, as opposed to ex-boomers, which,
Well, we were talking about it because I called somebody, another content creator. I called him a Sony pony, and certain people were like, Sony pony? What the heck is a Sony pony? I'm like, it's a nice way to say that Sony can do no wrong, and I'm a fan, and they could put out the worst system ever, and I'm still going to love it, and I'm still going to talk about it, right?
I suppose so. I mean, I feel like Sony has committed more than a few blunders over the years in regards to that. And within the PlayStation Network went down mysteriously for 6 hours, 4 days ago, and I remember saying, I know it's 2011 all over again, guys. I have credit cards. No, I don't think that happened. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit. So the thing about being a PlayStation devotee in regards to physical versus digital media is that PlayStation 3 and Vita stores are still open. They threatened to close them back in 2021 because, hey, Nintendo's doing it, why not us? But they reneged on that issue. They didn't shutter the PSP stores, but the Vita store is also a PSP store, so technically there's really no damage done. And because of Sony's cross-buy efforts during the I guess they'd say heyday of the Vita, but if you buy, there's so many digital games that you could buy for one system that you would have for the other two. And so when I really love the Vita, and I have 150 physical games, which I met people who brag about owning 25 physical games for the Vita, so I feel like I'm really ahead of that curve. But the thing is that you mentioned Cartridge Galore. I'm from Frederick, Maryland. We have a really great installation of theirs there. I noticed that they were selling like Cosmic Star Heroin for $75 Vita, and I'm like, you know what, I kind of want to get that. And then I double checked my PlayStation app. I'm like, oh right, I already bought that on PlayStation 4 for like $7 6 years ago and forgot. So I could just download that on my Vita.
Does it worry you that the PlayStation Store could just all of a sudden pull those games that you purchased digitally and you not have?
That is a worry. So that's why I'm really, really grateful that I hacked my Vita so that I could just plug micro SD cards into it and greatly increase the storage space. So yeah, just about everything I think I'm entitled to on Vita I can have on it. I also jammed a 1 terabyte hard drive into my PS3, so I've got all my different PS3 games are on first as well. When it comes to the 4 and the 5 is backwards compatible for the 4, physically and digitally. So I have external hard drives plugged into both my 4 and 5 that increase my storage space by 6 terabytes total. So yeah, I'm sitting on a Dragon's Quarter.
So you're good to go.
And that's just digital. I took pictures of my 3 shelves that have all my physical games, so 3, 4, 5, and Vita. I took pictures so that I don't buy the same game again. So like in addition to that, like I'm really kind of spoiled for choice.
What about this? What about this really quick? Guys on the panel, what about this? I'm going to try not to get this feedback in here. The kids especially. When a new game comes out, is it easier to buy it from the digital store the day it comes out, or to go to the store and stand in line for a physical? Daniel, go ahead.
Well, it depends on what game it is. If it is a long-waited game and it's not on shelves, then yes, it will be easier to get it digitally. Because
are you disappointed that you can't get it physically?
Yes.
See, I'm the same way. I like to go physically get it from the store. There's something about that. It's just satisfying. I don't know. But again, I agree. It depends on the game. If it's something that you really are looking forward to, that you just can't wait, to me, it's more satisfying to go to the store and get it versus an online download. So that's just me.
What about you guys, Samantha?
Honestly, I'd rather digital because some games are only digital, and like I feel like those are the better games. So if like the smaller games, you can't find them at the store, so it is nicer to be able to have just digitally have it. And
does it scare you though at the fact that, just like I asked this gentleman here, does it scare you the fact that they could shut the servers down and you'll never be able to play that game that you paid $60, $70 for?
In a way, yes.
I mean, that's hard-earned money, especially as a kid, right? You don't have adult money to go out and buy these games or buy both, right? A lot of us collectors, right, we buy physical and digital sometimes because we keep them sealed or whatever. That gentleman there just gets it too.
Are you just saying the servers should have on the digital side or the physical too?
Well, okay, so we'll get to that in a little bit. I know, yes.
Because if it's shut down,
we've had this discussion.
Remote. Or if it's shut down.
So are you insinuating that you need the servers for physical discs too? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I get it. Like, you have the game physically, but you'd still want to play it. You don't just want it to sit there, like.
Wait, but we do, right? Us collectors, right? We leave them sealed. We want to sit. How many of you guys actually play the games that you have, but you buy a second copy that you can play and the other one sits on the shelf? Lindsay says yes. She has her hand up. Yeah, I mean, I buy two. I'll be the first to admit, if it's a game I really, really, really like and I'm afraid something's going to happen to it, especially when we do game nights, I keep a physical copy that's sealed, and then I have a play copy that I really don't care if a 7-year-old comes up and spits in it, puts it in, So that's what I'm asking.
You have good memories with it, but if there are good enough memories, you should probably remember the gameplay with the game.
So Landon, you being all digital, okay? Does it interest you to collect as the one kid said to us yesterday, plastic. You guys collect plastic, is what he said. I'm here with my dad. You're collecting plastic.
For me, I really, really like. When I was younger, I loved collecting like the game cards because the art on the back. I'd like read those over and over and look at the art because how I thought it was cool. But collecting, like, it slowly kind of faded. Like, I like collecting stuff, but more or less not games, just because it's hard to. Like, they're expensive, and what are you gonna do with like tons of as me as like a kid? I live in my parents' house. What am I gonna do with like a stack of games when my room is always so big? You know, storage that comes down to it, and then digital. You don't have to worry about storage besides like the limit to your stuff.
Hard drives, like he was saying over here, right? Yes.
I'd say give them the example of Spec Ops: The Line.
That's when they shut this PlayStation store down, Spec Ops: The Line. The Xbox 360, right? It went up. I want to say that was up darn near $130, and it dropped to $80. I think it plateaued at $80. I got it from a pawn shop for $1, so I had a bunch of those. That's what we're talking about, having that potential. Johnny Graphics is here as well, and you're a big TurboGrafx guy. I love the TurboGrafx. Digital, physical.
They both have their place to me. I mean, like Samantha was saying, the convenience of digital is undeniable. And there's a lot of games that are digital to small developers that don't have relationships with publishers. They don't know how to get their game to the store shelf somewhere, but they still have a cool game that they want people to play. So the digital ecosystem makes a lot of sense for them. And I'm glad it exists. But if I have a choice between getting a disc with that same game on it, just downloading it and trusting Steam or Sony or Microsoft or whoever to make sure that it's always going to be available for me to download 20 years from now, I'd much rather do this than anything like that. And another point that hasn't been brought up yet, is how I think of that, is physical game retains value. I mean, like we were talking Spec Ops, we were almost talking about this, but you have a thing that could be worth more later or maybe worth less, but it's at least worth something. You can do something with it one day, or you just give it to a friend. It's something that is more versatile. So there's value in that.
So a lot of those bangers like that we see out here, if you have them downloaded to your Switch as digital or Xbox or PlayStation, GameStop doesn't care about that. They're only going to give you $150 for your trade-in on your PlayStation.
Well, you could sell it yourself to get closer to what. So just just place for everything out front. But like I said, if given the choice, yeah.
What about you guys? Does it bother you, like what he just said, that Daniel, if you want to take your PlayStation and you want to trade it in, but you have all digital games that GameStop, the exchange, whatever, they're not going to give you that value. They're going to give it to you for the system because they're going to wipe it. Does it bother you? All those games, let's say you have $1,000 worth of games on that.
Well, if you give me that amount, then yeah, I would.
But they're not going to. They're only going to give you $150.
I would be kind of upset because all that money. I mean, yeah, I could get them on like another console, but if they, I would be upset.
What about Aaron? Because I know you have some digital.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what about you? What's your thoughts?
Well, honestly, yeah, that would suck because you just spend all the same way with your Fortnite is an example. You spend all that money on V-Bucks and nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong with it, but okay, in my opinion, that doesn't hold value in the end. It's great if you want an awesome skin. Nothing wrong with that. But in my opinion, will I be able to trade that in later on in my life and for increase in value? Not really, no. But if that's your thing, if that's what you like to do, go for it. But I personally would prefer physical copies versus digital.
Samantha, what about your take on that? If you go to trade in your PlayStation because the new one comes out, or your Switch? Is it going to bother you that they're not going to give you the money for that?
Yeah, it would.
Does it change your view a little bit about digital versus physical?
Not really, because I know I wouldn't do personally. I wouldn't trade it in, but
Okay, all right.
sweet.
Landon, what about you?
I mean, for me, I wouldn't really mind too much just because if I've already played through the game, like Last of Us, and I beat it 100%, the chance of me going back to it and playing it again, it's just going to sit there anyways online. It's already money gone. So it being gone more, I just don't really see a point in worrying too much about the price when I got my worst of it.
Okay. This gentleman right here, what do we got? Ethan, what do you think? Digital or physical?
Physical.
And I noticed you nod your head when we talked about sealed games and having extra ones to play. Is that something you do?
I don't have sealed games, but I have bought digital games and bought the physical copy of it. Like a recent example would be the SFU system. Set. I don't physically have that yet, but I have Steam and I have games. Yeah, that's what but I'm also planning on just how much it because I can't roll it down as have access to it, but I have I don't have access to it.
So it sounds like some of the collectors that I'm talking to here, it sounds like they buy the digital play, but they have the physical that they're keeping as an investment into either future gaming consoles or potential other games that you could sell it for, or if you fall on hard times or something and you need to pay a bill or something, you can get. So it's kind of like putting money in a savings account, right? Is that kind of?
You could look at it that way, but I look at the physical as that is my backup. Yeah, like my music collection, I rip all of my CDs. I have my CDs in a storage thing somewhere. Like I view the actual CDs as that's my up in case my hard drive traps it. And I work in IT, so I know and somewhat my hard drive's going to die, servers are going to die. Like the SSDs, while they're faster, those aren't like spinning hard drives. A spinning hard drive, if it crashes, you can still rubber, dead, monitors. And SSD, once it's dead, it's dead.
Okay. So it's a backup. So some guys are, and it's your IT background because I have computer background as well. I think of that too. I think of backups because I will buy from indie developers. I will buy digital so I can play it, but then I'll go to physical. I know we did that for a few games. And there's a few games here. We were discussing this on our panel out the booth. Lindsay, you shook your head that you said you play your games. Do you set some aside that are just kind of a backup, like he stated, or ones that you collect in hopes that they're going up in value, or you just really don't care?
So we buy our games to play our games, but what's happening now is some of those rare games, some of those pie in the sky moments, now you can get in maybe an emulation situation. So that's kind of where we're starting to fall back, and it's made for an interesting shift in our play. We are buying much more like gear or eBay or something, trying to get exact specific things that we want, as opposed to it's new, so right, I'll just run it to target. It's not a function.
Now, Aaron, you said something really interesting on the panel. You said about you like to go and physically pick up a game. How many of you guys, when you pre-order a game, you like to go to the store and physically pick it up? Are you one of those, or have it delivered to your house, however you want to do it? I like to go. I even like to do some of the midnight releases. I think they're fun. You get to stand around, talk shop with other fellow video game enthusiasts, right? And just kind of talk about how great this game is going to be, and you're excited for it. Daniel and I, we did Black Ops way back when you were real little. Was it Black Ops or was it? I think it was Black Ops Call of Duty. You and
I do not remember this.
Remember that? We went to GameStop, so that tells you how long ago it was because they did a midnight release. He went with me. Was it 2010? Yeah, you were little.
I wasn't even born.
He wasn't even born yet. There was one that we went to that was it was a Call of Duty one. I remember because I pre-ordered it. But you also pre-ordered Mortal Kombat 11.
One.
Was it 1? Okay. And you did that, and they did the midnight release. We didn't go to the midnight release. But you were all about, like, I want to go to the store, and I want to get it there. I was like, we could just buy it on Amazon. You're like, no, I want to go to the store and get it. Why did you want to go to the store and get it?
The anticipation when you're going back home, just waiting to play that game, building your hype for it on the drive back, just feels good.
Aaron, what about you? You did say you like to go get the games. You like to get the physical games. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's it's like, you know, it's like Christmas, but then like a second Christmas or like a second birthday. I don't know. It's just like something exciting, you know, about that you waited so long for it. Maybe it's just because that's how I grew up, with physical copies of games. Now, had I grown up with digital copies of games, I mean, I see how excited our kids get when they're waiting for the new release for Fortnite. I mean, that's kind of the same thing. I mean, if you look at it that way, they're waiting for it too, but theirs is a digital copy versus physically going out to the store and getting it.
And here's a little tip I learned as being a parent when it comes to kids and digital. I remember when we got Daniel the PlayStation 5. I opened it ahead of time, downloaded all the updates. I downloaded Fortnite because I knew that was the first game he was going to play. Made sure all the patches were in there, the PlayStation Store, everything was all in there, my credit card, everything. And then I put it back in the box. I was really meticulous with how I took it apart. And all his friends, weren't they? They were saying, man, I couldn't get on for like 5 hours. And he's like, well, I was playing no problem. He's like, I was on Fortnite playing Christmas Day. That anticipation, people don't realize when you go all digital, you run into that problem. I mean, I sit there and I go, I feel bad for all the parents right now on Christmas morning who got to download all this stuff. Samantha, what about you? Do you like to go to the store and actually... No, she's not. Clothes you will.
That's the whole.
Well, why not games? Would you rather just...
It's just easier to put it right.
Okay. Landon, what about you? Do you like to go to the store and pick out a game?
I actually do. Whenever you guys got Tears of the Kingdom, and I saw you guys playing that, it looked really, really fun. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the mall this weekend. I'm like anticipating. I was like ready to get that game. And on the way home, I was just looking at the game. I was just thinking of how fun to play it.
So, as a little reference, how many of you guys, when you were kids, do you remember Saturday mornings you get up right before cartoons come on, and you grab your instruction manuals for your video games and you would read? Don't tell me I'm the only one that would do that. You'd sit there and look at let's go. Yeah, I see. It was kind of like, I'm not going to be the only one to raise my hand. We used to do that. It used to be like we'd have a stack of manuals, and I remember my brother, him and I would fight over it. Like, no, I want to read it. Because we'd sit there and think, was there something we missed in that manual that could help us beat a certain level, right? Yeah, you're laughing. That's what we did, okay? Maybe I'm weird. Maybe that's it. What do you think? First of all, what's your name?
Yeah.
What do you think? Digital, physical? And do you buy digital and kind of do what Lindsay was saying, and then buy physical back?
Yeah, you should do physical. And one thing you were just mentioning, yes, you have the annual cost of a few years ago. So somebody was like a huge book of Atari, and so intricate. They would put small hand drawn and stacking giant and manuals would have a storyline, and it was just like an extra like that's it.
Yeah, I mean, come to think about it, you just get sometimes those download codes in the physical editions now. Do you guys care that you don't have manuals in your games anymore? That's for the young ones up there. We'll start with Daniel. Go ahead.
Honestly, it doesn't really make a difference.
Why?
Maybe because we have these now. So
Just look it up.
yeah, Google.
How many of you guys remember waiting for your Nintendo Power Game Pro magazine to show up in the mail because you're praying to God that there's going to be your game in there that you've been stuck in? These guys don't understand what that is. I remember going to like the bookstore looking for those tip books. Do you guys remember those little tip books that you could find on every game? I said to them, they're like, Dad, you're old. That was their response. What's that? Cold, yes, the Power Up hotline from Nintendo Power. You guys remember the GamePro did something similar, I believe. We did that. We paid $2.99. We'd call up and it's like, you would do that. Your parents would be like, well, it's $10 right there. That's, and you're like, oh man, I can't even get a game.
I take it further back in time to that. When Atari released Raiders of the Lost Ark, you could actually call an 800 number, and you said you had a tip sheet or a full map. And it was double-sided, and it pulled it out. I still have it. Yep, yeah.
And you guys remember with The Legend of Zelda for NES, they gave you the map in Nintendo Power that was a full spread of the whole map to get you through The Legend, because you couldn't get through Lost Woods without it. It's just basic. But that's interesting, because we didn't grow up in that. We didn't have cell phones growing up in that era. That's their response to not having a manual. So you guys don't care. You don't care if there's a manual. Do you even read the manual, Samantha, when you get a brand new game? Do you look for the PDF on your phone? You just start playing. Okay.
Manual? Well, like, there's like a summary of what the game's about.
Okay.
That's about as far as I'm going.
Landon, if you want to learn about a new game, how do you do it?
YouTube.
YouTube.
It's just like the how-to.
It's the how-to. That's how they're learning about everything here. We looked at the manuals. They go to YouTube. There's so many times I've gone into my son's room. He has his phone propped up or his tablet propped up on his desk. His TV's above it. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, the new season of Fortnite just came out, and learning all the mythics and where everything is and the hot drops and this and that. I'm like, why? And he's like, because this guy already got it earlier, because he's a big YouTuber, and in Fortnite he's telling you do this and that. We have to look at the manuals, man. Like, that's what we did. I know you're just joining us. Welcome. I like to do an interactive panel because I like to get everybody's opinions, because there's certain things that we can learn from everybody, right? So, getting the perspective of the kids, are you digital or physical? Why?
It represents value, and I think it's rewarding to engage in a hobby. You reduce everything to simply what is easiest and most convenient. You turn the hobby into a chore. And what's the easiest way to regulate? I like to engage in it, enjoy it, and not get it out of the way as possible.
Do you buy digital if you're saving certain games as backups, like some gentleman in here said?
So I have a large physical library, all of which I intend to own. I didn't buy any of it to keep sealed, but it just takes me a long time to get to some of these games, and some of them had for decades, and the values went up significantly. Now I find myself wondering sometimes, should I open this sealed game or just buy it off the PlayStation Store for $10 and play it and enjoy it that way? I get kind of torn sometimes, even though I have no intent on selling it once that wraps off.
Interesting. It's an interesting perspective. Daniel, you remember, before I get to these two here, you remember for his birthday, the Nintendo Championship Series came out for the Switch, right? The box set. We had already picked it up for him. He didn't know. And then we went to the store, and he bought it with his own money. And I said, what if you get it from us for your birthday? He goes, then I'll leave it sealed. That was his mindset. Now, obviously, he's around me, and that's kind of my mindset with certain things, because as a backup, or the potential of it might be worth something, because I'll give you an example. I go to a lot of pawn shops to find games. I go to a lot of Goodwills, even though Goodwills is kind of trash right now. But in my area, that's pretty much the only bargain place that you're going to find certain games. I found 5 sealed Fallout games for the PS4 at the pawn shop. We paid, $1 or $2 for it? each. Well, I wasn't going to leave them there. John Rick said, I had to rescue them. And I did. I rescued them. Because of the Fallout TV show, those values on those games were almost $85 a piece for those games. Now, they've started to drop down if you look at them, and that's sealed. So I went to an exchange, one of the stores we have up in Eastern Ohio. They had a Neo Geo CD system there, complete in box. I had zero intentions of getting into the Neo Geo CD because it's so expensive. Well, the AES is even more, but we won't even go there. But anyways, they had $450 on this thing. But they said, we'll do trades. I brought those games in and I kept one, and I paid $12 for that system. Okay? So for me, when I see stuff like that sealed, like you just said, once you take that wrapper off, my value went down to, I think it was $35 on that. Yeah, no, absolutely.
I think the caveat to that is I realized over time that when you're younger, you can contemplate that. Should I take it off? But I realized that if I never unwrapped those games and I never played, all I did was a massive collection of plastic and cardboard for somebody else to trade, throw away, not appreciate. The real value in those games are memories. You don't get those unless you unwrap them. So I don't.
Skip, I'm not really a sealed game collector at all. I will, if I get something dirt cheap, I'll kind of keep it if I have multiples of it, keep it sealed because of trading to get other systems. But that's a good point. You good, sir. What's your name?
Right.
Digital or physical?
Physical for most.
So you're kind of like that in-between age gap of probably most of us. You said sort of, kind of. Do you get digital games?
Yeah, so I have a Steam Deck, which is the only version of PC that I own, and obviously games from that are digital. But for anything like Nintendo Switch or Xbox or PlayStation, I use the PS4 still. I buy physical.
Does it bother you that you spent $500 to $600 on that Steam Deck, depending on the storage that you got? Does it bother you that maybe one day you're going to turn that on and it's all the games that you purchased may never work, and that's just a paperweight through?
So I think the Steam Deck I view a little bit differently. For me, buying the Steam Deck is a way to play PC games with my friends who played them and not have the $2,000 investment in a large PC. So I don't feel as upset about those games. Now, if I were to buy them for the Switch, I probably would be upset. I mean, I think we're kind of seeing that a little bit with the Wii U. They turned off the store, and so eventually the life cycle of some of these consoles that have digital games will kind of come to an end in certain ways. So yeah, I would be upset. I mean, same with the 3DS. I'm a big handheld gamer, so the 3DS eShop got taken offline, and yeah, I'd be upset if I purchased those games as a kid, enjoyed them, went back to play them for nostalgia, and then I couldn't have access to them now.
I know as a parent, and now maybe some of you guys aren't parents and maybe you can't relate to this, but as a parent, one of the big things, and they always call me old when I do this, especially with toys, I always like to say, man, I remember getting up and playing a game, and I was homeschooled for a number of years, so I would get up in the morning before my parents got up, especially when we got a new game, and I'd play that game. We know we'd have to get up for school, and I'd pause it and shut the TV off and pray to God, Mom, when she vacuumed your room, she didn't accidentally bump your Nintendo and shut that off. Believe it or not, as traumatizing that was as a kid, it was something that is a memory that's ingrained. Like you were saying, the memories that flood back when you play certain games. Like I will buy certain. I'm not an in-box collector. But my kids will tell you, I will buy a box game. In fact, I found a pinball table that I remember Service Merchandise. Do you guys ever remember a store named Service Merchandise? My parents didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid growing up, and they bought this pinball. And it's just one that you sit on the table. I found it complete in box, and the guy was like, I'll give it to you for $5. And the kids are like, Dad, we're really going to play that? I'm like, no. I said, we have those other tables. This, for me, is kind of like a grail because it's something I had as a kid. We played it a lot. The memories or what stemmed from that. To have it in the box, like I remember opening it up, seeing the manual, and seeing that meant more to me than the actual game because it was something that I remembered as a kid, right? And so that's something that they kind of like, they understand, but they kind of don't. There's that disconnect. What's your name? Sophia. That's our little one's name. Sophia, that's a good name. Physical or digital?
It depends on what game.
Ooh, depends on what game. Are you into a certain genre like RPGs? And
I like RPGs. And like sounds corny, but like cozy gaming. It really just depends on like the game. I have to like read into it and decide whether I'm gonna like it. So depending on how into that game I think I'm gonna be, I'll decide whether I want it physical or digital. Because I like having my physical library.
Okay. So I'm with you on that because I like to do the same thing. I like to have a nice physical library. Unfortunately, my wife supports that because I always say, jokingly, I'm like, you put up with this because the basement looks like an arcade and has, the console room. But she gets it. She gets it. She understands this. She likes to walk in there and like, how many times have you said, like, you've walked up to Mario Kart and you look at it and you go like, oh, I remember playing this with my dad. We have that completed box for that very reason, for certain nostalgia, right? What about you guys? And I want to ask you, Landon, because you've been over at the house a lot. Memories that you've been down there. We played Windjammers. Everybody play Windjammers? I had them play it on the Neo Geo CD, and they're like, "This game is awesome!" Right? You guys, we played that for 5 hours one Saturday for game night. So then I had Windjammers 2 for the Switch, and we were jumping back and forth playing that. Right? Was that a memory for you? Like you could sit there and go, man, I remember we were doing this, we were harassing each other, right?
Yeah, I mean, I looked back at that literally the other day. I was thinking about this funny you brought up. It's really cool just to see how it was then and how it is now. And that memory of like playing it how it used to be to how it was now. And I kind of prefer the older version just because like it feels more like personal just because it's not like all new and like all the graphics are updated. It's just kind of like it's what was like there. It's what it's
right.
Not like anything new fancy.
Smash Brothers tournaments, Samantha. You were kind of getting involved with that. The Smash Brothers. I know Daniel was trying to unlock all the characters. These are what I'm talking about. So when you guys get older, this is what we're all talking about, right? When you guys get older, you're going to look back and tell your kids all these stories of, I remember my dad, I used to sit there and go, he's old, he's, playing these old games, but, we had a lot of fun. I know you just popped into, what's your name? Dave's here. Dave, what do you think, digital or physical?
Well, I kind of grew up with all this stuff. It's all out here for me. And it's interesting because Lindsay had said something about emulation. Right, and you said about the Neo Geo system. Right? So, like, I think there's something to be playing that game on original hardware, on what the game designers intended. Now, it also gets to this. It's kind of like these two converging things. Right? I have every single one of these games out here on emulation, and I'm going to be playing it on the thing right in a cabinet, and that's great because I don't have the space or money or whatever seems in like all those consoles. To me, and maybe for you, with that Neo Geo system, it's not just a game; it's having that system and sitting there with your best friend in the 12th and spending all Saturday night and into Sunday the next day on the NES, like that, right? Like you can get that like.
It's just not the same.
Yeah, like digital's kind of like fast fashion. It's like, oh my god, I can go to the next one, I got the next one. Sitting in a hard drive, I've never been physical space, right? And just there's something about the use setting up the games in your basement. You flip that switch and all those games come on, right? You get all the splash screens and just
that you can't get away from.
I don't know what the answer really is. And physical stuff wears out. I mean, I have a Wii that doesn't run.
but you get all of those games and you can mod into the hard drive, and you're there still with it. Maybe originally. So
that's what I said. There's no right or wrong answer. We're going to have to wrap this up shortly, but I want to get a few more responses here. Digital or physical? Digital. I hate you. I know this guy. Video game votary over here give me a hard time. No. This guy's walking around with a lot of physical. Don't let him fool you.
No, physical. It's just memories. Have certain things from childhood. Purposely got to hate. That meant a lot to me. That's kind of. I'm just all for game preservation.
Let's real briefly. Let's talk about this. You bought Mario Brothers, and he has a video up that talks about this was a grail to you, a completed box. Why? Because of the memories?
Just because I'm just a huge Nintendo fan. You don't see, at least the first Mario Brothers in the box. I saw it. I already had in my mind if I ever see it. I made some trading and got it. But also, it's just so quick. Nintendo means me. Super Mario was very cool. So I got today. Okay. More of a feeling versus this guy.
Okay. That's definitely. I think the nostalgia part of it all, right? We've kind of all can agree whether it's digital or physical. We all want to play the games, right? We all want to have that nostalgia factor. We all want to have what we like, and I think the options are good. And like I said, I'm not poo-pooing digital, but I also think we need to be mindful that with physical media, we at least have an option. And I'll go as far as, this gentleman here said about hard drive. I do hard drives. I'll make backup CDs. Like, I go to the extreme. I probably have 3 or 4 backups of everything. She'll tell you I have binders of CD games of my backups. Because I don't want something to damage. I don't want damage to my originals. But I played on real hardware. So, the way it was meant. Guys, we're going to have to wrap it up. I really appreciate everybody coming in. I hope you guys like the interaction. That's the way I kind of do things. I like to get the audience involved because it's fun. It's a fun time. If you guys want to hear more banter for us, we are going to be live at 1:30 in my booth out there in the corner. I'm trying to think. We don't have a booth number. I don't have a booth number. Just look for the Tech Buzz Gaming. You can come in and sit down. We're all backed by the special guests. We're going to be talking about stuff from here, but we might even carry on this conversation of physical versus digital. Thank you to my family for putting up with my nonsense and actually jumping up here and not being scared. YouTube.com/thetechbuzz. Like I said, I have a QR code out there you can scan. I don't have any of my cards with me. They're all at the table. There's stickers and stuff, so help yourself.
The one time I don't carry them.
Yeah, I know the one time we don't care. But I appreciate it. I have physical cards. No. I have physical cards. I do have physical cards, and I have digital.
And digital stuff.
So wait, real quick. So the part 2 of this conversation that's going to go on at 1:30 is going to be if digital takes over, what do we do about conventions? So if you want to hear that, you want to participate in that, come on over at 1:30. We'll be over. Thank you guys, sound people. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Thanks.